Okay, so good day class. So we'll be continuing our discussion dito sa value-added tax. Okay, so for today, we will begin our discussion with section 107 of our tax code, which is the value-added tax on importation of goods. Okay, so ang topic natin is on the importation of goods. So for those na hindi nakakalam, ang importation of goods, this is the exact opposite or kabaliktaran lang ng export sales. So instead na tayo under sa export sales kasi, 'di ba, tayo yung magbebenta outside the country. Pero under the importation of goods, tayo naman yung bibili from outside the country. So tayo magi-import. Then we will be selling the goods, ibebenta natin yung mga nabili natin inside the country. Right? So under section 107, letter A, sabi dito, in general, there shall be levied, okay, assessed, and collected on every importation of goods value-added tax equivalent to 12%. Okay, so parehas lang yung tax rate natin. So 12% based on the total value used by the Bureau of Customs in determining total value used by the customs in determining tariffs and custom duties. Okay, so ito yung basis natin sa 12%. The total value used by the Bureau of Customs in determining tariff and customs duties. Okay, so this is based on the Bureau of Customs. So kung ano man yung basis nila sa pagde-determine ng mga tariff and custom duties ng mga importation of goods. Right? So hindi specifically na gross sales or gross receipts ang basis natin dito sa importation of goods, kundi yung ginagamit ng Bureau of Customs sa pag-determine ng mga tariff and custom duties na babayaran ng mismong business. Okay, so after determining the total value used by the Bureau of Customs in determining the tariff and custom duties, kailangan nating i-add yung mismong custom duties and any excise taxes if there is any. Okay, so ito na yung all in all, ito na yung total basis natin sa 12% value added tax dito sa importation of goods. Total value used by the Bureau of Customs in determining the tariff and customs duties plus the custom duties and excise taxes. So yun yung basis natin. So after natin makuha ito, so for example, let's say that merong isang business na nag-import ng, let's say, ano ba yung ini-import? Na mga importation of, let's say, rice. Okay, so meron isang business na nag-import ng bigas dito sa Pilipinas. So according to the Bureau of Customs, ang basis nila, ang value na ginamit ng Bureau of Customs in determining the tariff is, let's say, 100,000. Tapos yung tariffs and custom duties nila is, let's say, 15,000. Right? Okay. So, ang gagamitin nating value sa pag-compute ng value-added tax in that case is the 100,000 na value na ginamit ng Bureau of Customs. Tapos, plus the custom duties na 15,000 na sinabi ko. And if there is any excise taxes, kung meron mang excise tax, kailangan natin i-add, okay, sa value para makuha natin yung total basis ng 12%. So, after na makuha natin yung basis, syempre, i-multiply na lang natin by 12% to get our value-added tax. Okay? So, after getting the value-added tax, such tax to be paid by the importer prior to the release of such goods from custom duties. Okay, so before man ma-release ng custom duties yung mga goods na ibebenta ng business, yung in-import nila, kailangan muna nila magbayad ng value-added tax. Okay, so kailangan muna nila magbayad ng VAT before mare-release yung mismong goods na na-import nila. Okay, so hindi katulad ng ibang businesses na every quarter sila magbabayad, right? So in this case, magbabayad sila ng value added tax before pa lang sila nagbenta, right? So ito yung nagkaibahan ng importation of goods sa ibang businesses. So provided that where the custom duties are determined on the basis of the quantity or volume of goods. Okay? So kung yung basis naman ng custom duties is quantity or volume of goods. So for example, let's say per kilo yung basis ng custom duties. Okay? So kung per kilo man yung basis ng customs duties, ang gagamitin natin na basis is yung landed cost plus any excise taxes. So landed cost ang basis natin. Alright? So yung landed cost, okay, yung landed cost dito, this includes any invoices, yung amount ng invoice plus the custom duties. Okay, so yung mismong custom duties na binayaran. Yung freight, okay, yung freight meaning yung shipping fee, right? Freight, yung insurance, and other charges. Okay, so yun yung main composition ng landed cost, which is the invoice. Okay, take note, invoice, customs duties, freight, and the insurance. Okay, so if there are any other charges, you should include that. Of course, yun yung basis na landed cost. Tapos, i-add mo yung excise tax kung meron mang binabayaran yung business na yon to get the total basis. Okay, so this is gagamitin lang natin yung gagamitin lang natin yung landed cost kapag ang basis ng custom duties is on the quantity or volume. So, for example, per kilo, per case, kung ganon, if basta hindi yung amount yung basis nila. Okay? So, let's move on. From that, let's go to letter B. So, transfer of goods by tax-exempt persons. In the case of tax-free importation of goods into the Philippines by persons, entities, or agencies exempt from tax law, okay, where such goods are subsequently sold, transferred, or exchanged in the Philippines to non-exempt persons or entities. Okay, so sabi dito, kung meron mang importation of goods, so kung meron mang nag-import by persons, entities, or agencies na exempt from tax. Okay? So kung meron mang nag-import na normally is exempt from tax, right? Where such goods are subsequently sold, transferred, or exchanged in the Philippines to non-exempt persons. So binenta nila sa non-exempt persons or entities. The purchaser, transferees, or recipients shall be considered the importers thereof, who shall be liable for any internal revenue tax on such importation. So for example, so let's give out an example para mas madali niyong maintindihan. So for example, let's say meron tayong isang person. We'll call that person A. Okay, so si A, siya isang exempt person, a tax-exempt person. Tapos si A nag-import siya ng let's say ano bang ini-import? Mais na lang. Say, nag-import si A ng mais. Okay. So tax-exempt si A. Tapos after siya nag-import, binenta niya yung mga mais kay B. Okay, so si B yung bumili ng mais na binenta ni letter A. So in this case, si B yung purchaser or transferee or the recipient. Okay. So yung VAT on importation of goods dito, ang magbabayad or yung magiging liable is si letter B. Okay, so siya yung magiging or siya yung mako-consider na importer dito sa transaction. Kahit na si letter A, yung mismong nag-import, si letter B ang i-consider na importer kasi Si letter A is tax exempt. Okay? Tax exempt siya. Tapos, binenta niya kay letter B na hindi tax exempt. Okay? So, ganun yun. Yung hindi tax exempt na person na bumili, yun yung magiging liable sa VAT na 12% on import of goods. Okay? So that yun yung sinabi ng tax code natin for the importation of goods. So let's move on to section 108, which is value added tax on sale of services and use or lease of property. So ano na tayo? Sale of services na tayo or service business na tayo. So the rate and base of tax. So there shall be levied, assessed, and collected a value-added tax equivalent to 12%. So, 12% ulit yung basis natin or yung rate natin dito sa value-added tax on the sale of services or use or lease of properties. Of gross receipts. Okay, gross receipts. Ito naman yung basis natin sa value-added tax. Derived from the sale or exchange of services, including the use or lease of properties. Okay? So, the phrase sale or exchange of services means the performance of all kinds of services in the Philippines for others for a fee, remuneration, or consideration, including those performed or rendered by construction and service contractors, stock, real estate, commercial, customs, and immigration brokers, lessor of property, whether personal or real, warehousing, lessor or distributors of cinematographic films, persons engaged in milling, processing, manufacturing, or repacking goods for others, proprietors, operators, or keepers of hotels, motels, rest houses, pension houses, inn resorts, and many, many more. Okay, so pakibasa na lang dito. So medyo marami-rami, right? So all of this vale all of this are examples or are included dito sa term na services natin. Okay? So includes yung common carriers by air and sea relative to the transport of passengers, goods, property sale of electricity by generation companies. Okay? So yung mga electric companies natin, they are considered to be a service provider. Transmission by an entity, including cooperatives. Okay. Services of franchise grantees of electricity utilities, telephone and telegraph, radio and television broadcasting, and all other franchise grantees. Okay, except those under Section 119 of this code and non-life insurance companies, except their crop insurances, including surety, fidelity, indemnity, bonding companies, similar service, whether or not performance. Okay, so pakibasa na lang. Ito yung lahat ng mga to are included under sa term ng services. Okay, these are all just examples. So the phrase sale or exchange of services shall likewise include the lease or the use of or the right or privilege to use any copyright, patent design, or model plan, secret formula, process wheel. Okay, so these are under sa term na sale or exchange of services. So kung meron man tayong nag-example naman ako ulit nito noon. So meron man tayong let's say copyright na na-i-register, patent man yan na na-i-register, design or model na na-i-register, plan, secret formula na na-i-register, goodwill, trademark, or trade, basta kahit ano na na-i-register natin na meron tayong right na tayo lang yung gumamit. So kung linis natin or let's say pinarentahan natin yung right ng paggamit ng mga right na yon. ng mga copyright and others na yon, that is under sa sale of or exchange of services. The lease, okay, lease. Okay, so when we say lease, just to make it clear, yung lease, these are yung nagpaparenta ha. So when we say I am leasing a car to you, meaning parang pinaparentahan ko yung kotse ko sa iyo. So the lease or the use of or the right to use of any industrial, commercial or scientific equipment. Okay? So ito yung mga pinaparentahan natin. Supply of scientific, technical, industrial or commercial knowledge or information. So kung meron man tayong scientific, technical or industrial or commercial knowledge, tapos parang binebenta natin yung knowledge na yon sa iba, that constitutes a sale or exchange of services. Right? The supply of any assistance that is ancillary and subsidiary to and is furnished as a means of enabling the application or enjoyment of any such property or right as is mentioned in subparagraph 2 or any such knowledge is mentioned about subparagraph 3. So, supply of any assistance. So, this parang ano lang to, parang magiging assistant ka lang. Supply of services by a non-resident person or his employee in connection with the use of property rights belonging to or the installation or operation of any machinery or other apparatus purchased from such non-resident person. So for example, nagbenta ng isang foreigner ng isang equipment dito sa bansa. Tapos yung any additional fees na include para sa installation, okay? Para installation or the operation of the brand or machinery shall be under dito sa sale or exchange of services. Supply of technical advice, assistance, or services rendered in connection with technical management or administration of any scientific, industrial, or commercial undertaking, venture, project, or scheme. The lease of motion pictures, films, tapes, and discs, and the lease or the use of the right to use radio, television, satellite, transmission, and cable television time. So all of these are also included under the term sale or exchange of services. So even though not necessarily na service, under the tax code, it is still included, right? So for example, itong mga list na to, hindi naman service ang mga to. Pinaparentahan lang naman natin, right? Pero still, it is considered to be under sa term na sale or exchange of services. Okay, so lease of property shall be subject to tax herein imposed in respective of the place where the contract of lease or licensing agreement was executed if the property is leased or used in the Philippines. So for example, meron tayong isang building. Ay, not necessarily building. So, meron tayong isang, let's say, okay, so for example, dito na lang. Lease or the use of radio time. Okay, so for example, merong isang agreement ang isang kumpanya at ang isang radio franchise na mag-air ng commercial. Okay? That is a use or that is a lease of radio time. Right? So, binibigyan sila ng time para maipahayag yung gusto nilang ipahayag sa radyo. So, even kahit na yung contract is na-signed, let's say, outside the Philippines, so kahit na sinign nila yung contract outside the Philippines, kung yung mismong radio site or yung mismong coverage ng radio is within the Philippines, okay, leased or used in the Philippines, it is still subject to tax inside the Philippines. So kahit hindi dito sa Pilipinas yung mismong pinag-signan ng kontrata, kung yung paggamit ng renta na yon is under sa Philippines, it is still taxed dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, the term gross receipts means the total amount of money or its equivalent representing the contract price, compensation, service fee, rental, or royalty including the amount charged for materials supplied with the services and deposits and advance payments actually or constructively received during taxable quarter for services performed or to be performed for another person, excluding value-added tax. Okay, so, na-discuss naman natin ito sa introduction, right, yung term na gross receipts. So, under dito, yung contract price or kung merong compensation man yung tawag, service fee man yung tawag doon, rental man ang tawag or royalty. So, all of these are under sa gross receipts, including the amount charged for materials supplied with the services and deposit. So, kung meron mang, for example, kung ang services na yun, kailangan natin ng specific na material. Tapos, ang materials na yun is pinabayaran natin sa customer. So, yung material supplied with the services, ay amount charged for the material supplied with services is included dito sa gross receipt. So, included siya sa basis ng computation ng value-added tax. Deposits and advance payments actually or constructively received. So, any advance payment should be also included dito sa gross receipts. Kahit hindi pa tayo nakaka-render ng services, it is considered as taxable dito sa tax code natin. Okay? So, 21 minutes na pala. Okay, so that will end our discussion for today. Okay, so next meeting na natin itutuloy ito yung transaction subject to 0% tax rate. So, babalik tayo sa 0% tax rate. This time under sa services naman. Okay, so thank you for listening, class. See you again next time. Goodbye.